Hey, I'm back. Where was I? Who cares? I was always thinking about returning, but every time I wondered about it, I felt that my most recent video was not up to snuff, too rambly and incoherent, and considering all that's happened since, I felt it prudent to make a new video, and quietly delete the old one. Alright, what the heck has happened with the Switch 2? Well, quite frankly, not much. It released a pretty strong positive reception, with the obvious critique notwithstanding. Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza both demanded attention, but the rest of the lineup was underwhelming. Overall, I've personally been happy enough with the launch, which I want to talk about. But here comes the big question. Was Mario Kart World worth $80? For me, yeah, I'd say so. I'm not perfectly confident in that statement, but it is the way I feel. I can definitely see why others would be hesitant. It's not a great situation, but there was enough stuff at a high enough quality for Mario Kart World to be worth the asking price. For me personally. You can have a different opinion, but I think an $80 game can be worth it. That being said, has Nintendo changed the industry? Will every game cost $80 now? Is there no turning back? Well, apparently not. Soon after World's price reveal, Borderlands 4 and Outer Worlds 2 revealed they would cost $80. And, people weren't happy. There's a similar backlash to what Nintendo got, except something big happened. They listened. After the initial vitriol, Gearbox and Obsidian retracted their statements, and now both games will be slightly more reasonably priced at $70, ignoring DLC or premium editions. This is a pretty impressive feat considering how these things often go, aka, the company ignores all their customers' complaints, often for a good reason, as the complainers' views aren't shared by the wider audience. I mean, it's what happened with the ill-fated Switch 2 boycott. So these two major players backing off is real surprising. As someone who defended $80 games, all I have to say is, thanks. Not having to pay high prices for these games is great. You did a good service. This is a huge win for all the people who push back against the anti-consumer BS. And I mean, my support for $80 games was never all that jubilant. It was more resignation to this new reality than an embrace of it. I mean, I wasn't ever gonna buy these games for $80. Also wouldn't pay $70 or $60 either, or anything at all since I'm not super interested in these games. But still, to me, the increase in price was, and is, the natural endpoint of both the games industry's slow bloat and worsening economy. Games cost more to make. They need better graphics and more stuff to do. The employees need bigger salaries as housing costs and groceries are on the rise. Not saying these are good things, they aren't, but more that these issues were real and affecting development. If it was time for $80 games, quite frankly, it made sense. But now it seems the future has been delayed. Delayed. Because inflation exists. It means that games will someday cost more than that, but that day is not today. And, frankly, I'm glad we got this outcome. I can only afford both literally and mentally, maybe a handful of $80 games a year. It would be a burden, even if it's one I'm willing and able to carry. My main issue with the Switch 2's controversy was just how vitriolic it all became. It really seemed as if many people believed that slightly more expensive AAA games were the end of the medium. Frankly, I found it a bit overzealous. It wasn't just that people couldn't look past the price. I get that. But more than anyone who did, was seen as a traitor to all gamers everywhere. The calls for boycott, while ultimately somewhat hollow, felt overblown for the situation. My relative acceptance of the price made the entire ordeal feel more frustrating than liberating. Maybe this because I view microtransactions as being a far, far bigger issue and way more predatory, but that's probably for a different video. With that all being said, I think it's time to move past the price and onto the games. Plural, as there's only really 2 to talk about. The Switch 2's launch lineup was a bit thin. Only a couple major hitters in the first few months isn't awful, but I definitely think one more big game would have been a good idea. The smaller games could have been better too. Welcome Tour was a weird distraction that really should have been free, while Dragon Dive is a tech demo with, honestly, an unappealing design. Motion controls went out of style like a decade ago. In brighter news, Mario Kart World is good. It's fun to play. I like most of the mechanics. I think the parkour system is really interesting. It opens up a lot of technical mastery that I will never reach. The open world is bare everywhere except the tracks, but I still had fun exploring it. Those P-Switch challenges, plus the open world, do add their own flavor that's very unique from other Mario Karts. Same thing with the Knockout Tour, or even the intermissions. I personally don't have a problem with them. In fact, I quite enjoy them. It's all well done. And yet, I haven't been compelled to come back. It's strange, since I have a pretty good time whenever I play, but once I was done with the Grand Prix and Knockout Tours, I just left. But then I think about how that is almost exactly what happened with Mario Kart 8. I did the Grand Prix, some online, then dipped. I only came back when there was a new DLC, or when 8 Deluxe released, of course. And even then, my actual attach rate was spotty. It's hard to say if Mario Kart World is genuinely just a less replayable game, or if I'm just not exactly in the mood for it. On the other hand, Donkey Kong Bonanza has been very well received by everyone, with basically no controversy. How neat. The controls are amazing, and so fluid, and just moving through levels, destroying and collecting stuff. This is the sort of high-polished work Nintendo is known for. It's so addictive. I would definitely recommend it. I just wish, overall, there's a little bit more to cut our teeth on with releases. I know we're getting some big hitters coming soon, but still, this summer felt a bit bare. My thoughts on the Switch 2 are overall positive. Regardless of the criticisms, fair or otherwise, it's been all that I needed it to be. In the few months between the release of the Switch 2 and now, it feels like the hype has died down, which is a bit sad, but also okay. Unlike its older brother, the Switch 2 has a lot less to prove. The criticism of it being the same system, but more powerful, ring hollow to me. The OG Switch really needed the tune-up, and already a bunch of games have benefited from it. It hasn't revolutionized the industry, or even Nintendo for that matter, but it feels like a healthy next step, even if it isn't moving forwards all that quickly. With quite a few big releases soon, I am quite content with what I got, and will be getting, even if it is expensive. Thanks for watching the video. Hey, give a like and subscribe. It helps, I think.